Hello, my Teaserking family. Well, the first try I couldn't do this. So happy I could get it this time. Sometimes YouTube's funny. It says you can't chat live now or something like that. All right. All right. So let's look at our gold. So it's holding nicely at 37.86. We had a nice move. So China's not doing it. China's like not doing anything. 37.48, and about 4 in the morning, it takes a jump up. And at 10 o'clock, it hasn't jumped down yet, which I'm still a little bit worried. This says 10:20, but the chart hasn't moved yet, which is concerning. 44.40 for silver. So I know Ron had said, hey, we're getting 44 today, and we did more than 40. We have 44.10 yesterday, and now 44.40. Why is this chart not showing? Let's see, just no, that's kind of what it's suggesting. But I'm concerned because after 10 o'clock, it usually moves. That's when we come in, but it says 10:20, but the chart's not going. So something's funny. Well, we'll see. Yeah, nothing. It just says 10:20, but the chart's still 9:57. All right, but good news. So it keeps going up and up and up. Now, I was watching something on Egon, then we'll get into football. So Egon doesn't understand. It blows my mind. He gets the concept. We need gold. It's limited, and the dollar is being printed. He gets that concept. However, he doesn't get this concept. All of a sudden, my YouTube's not working. Now, we'll restart the phone. So the question asked to Egon is, well, with all the wars and all the inflation and everything, why isn't gold going up? And he doesn't answer the question. He thinks he answers the question, but he doesn't. The obvious answer is because it's controlled, it's price fixed by COMEX. That's why gold, which is going up nicely, isn't at 10,000 an ounce yet, because it's controlled by the options, the paper gold, not the physical gold. But he didn't answer that. He said, well, I don't know. It's not really related to the wars, and it really doesn't, not the inflation. It's just gold. Believe me, gold really doesn't have a lot to do with inflation. if it was just left alone and not price fixed, gold would have been 20,000 an ounce now. So they're trying to keep the gold price down to keep the dollar strong, which has no correlation at all. But then when you get, oh, here comes a war. Oh, well, gold's going to go up because there's a war. It doesn't work that way. All right, so where's Egon?
If you're looking to spruce up the outside of your house, these are the coolest and easiest lights.
This is a short.
Investors are asking why gold isn't going up more than it is. We have wars in Iran and Middle East, we have war in Ukraine, and we have massive deficits and debts, and the geopolitical situation combined with the political situation is worse than it's been for many decades and maybe even centuries. The debt is of a proportion that worldwide that has never occurred before in history. So especially with these wars, investors are asking why isn't gold going up? But what you have to understand is that gold is not going up because of temporary happenings in the world. That's a war, or whether it's a political problem in the US or in Europe. Gold goes up because paper money is being destroyed continuously by central banks and by banks also by issuing and leveraging more and more debt and credit to the consumer and to companies. So gold is not reflecting short-term situations in the market, such as an attack on Iran or a war in Ukraine. No, gold is reflecting the destruction of paper money. It's so simple. You know, these short-term events, they have a very, very short effect. You could look at, for example, 9/11. Gold went up temporarily and then it went down again. And it's the same now. We've had bigger bombs than ever dropped on Iran in the last days, and gold hasn't gone up. It's actually come down a bit. So you must understand that this is not the right way to look at gold. It is not a crisis investment. It is an investment that protects your wealth against central banks and governments' destruction of paper money by issuing more and more credit. Many investors are asking why gold is...
So Egon doesn't get it. Hard to believe Egon doesn't get it. But he doesn't. The reason it's not up is because it's options, right? As I just said. And people telling you, well, gold's for inflation and gold's for the recession and gold's for the... No, gold is money. You buy gold as you would buy a baseball card, as you would buy a Rolex, as you would buy any asset. Gold's an asset. It happens to also be money. And yes, this is worthless. So part of it is the inflation is making us buy gold because we got to get out of dollars. And what else can we get in? Gold and silver. That's it. Yeah, you can buy the Mantle card, you can buy the Rolex, but you still want to be in. Eventually, you've got to sell it for money to use the money. And again, people don't get it. They think, well, you're not going to take an ounce of gold to the grocery store. Well, are you taking a Picasso to the grocery store? No, but if you need money, you're going to sell the Picasso for the money, right? You're gonna sell it, get the money, and use that for the grocery store. It's gold is not a medium of exchange yet. In other words, you don't get paid in gold and then you don't spend it. It's an asset. It's real money, but it's not a medium of exchange. That's about as clear and simple as I can make it. And so does a Rolex go up because there's a war? No. Does a Mantle card go up because of the war? No. They don't go up because of the war, but they don't go up because COMEX prices them. If you go on eBay, the Mantle card is on eBay is the real price because that's been a real market, but not gold. Gold looks at COMEX for its price. It doesn't take its price from the market. That's why gold hasn't gone up. Sorry, Egon, but that's the problem. It's priced by paper pricing, and we're looking at physical gold. But for some reason, they're pricing physical gold with paper gold, which is ridiculous. So that's the reason it's not going up with all these things. When actually, if you really dig into it, it would be because wars are very expensive. And so you're going to ruin your dollar. Like the Civil War, the greenbacks, they inflated to zero, right? Abraham Lincoln and those boys. And so when you get a war, you got bullets, you got guns, you've got tanks and planes and boats, and the men, you got to feed them, you need oil. It's a very expensive, because there's no revenue coming in. So imagine you've got your house and you're working, and then all of a sudden you make 100,000 a year. All of a sudden you got 300, 500,000 in expense. Well, you're only making 100. How are you going to offset that? Well, that's what a war is. You get zero coming in, and you've got billions of dollars in expense. I mean, between the men and mostly the men, the gas, the tanks, the Tomahawk missiles, and then replenishing them, and then the bullets and everything else, and feeding the men, and all that stuff. So it's a very expensive thing, war is. So if you really dilute it, it's because the money is going to be worthless, because you're going to have to inflate the money supply to pay. Where you're going to find the money for the war? Oh, we'll just print it. Well, that makes the money worthless. That would trigger you to buy gold. You're really buying gold because this is worthless. You're buying a Mantle card or a Rolex because you like them, but they happen to be very limited, high demand, and go up in price. You don't really buy this. You're just given this, and you just use it at the store with the credit card or a debit card, but you're still using that. You go to the restaurant, you're using this. You just, instead of using paper, you're using electric. It's not digital, it's electric. And with gold, you are using gold as a way out of the dollar collapsing, because it is money. And then silver. And I think Alligator was talking about, well, you won't take the gold. He was talking about gold sovereigns. He says, well, you won't take those to the grocery store. You'll probably take silver. You're not going to take silver either. When silver hits 1,000 an ounce, you can take that to the grocery store and buy Cheerios? I doubt it. So it's, you'll be buying cheaper. You'll be getting mercury dimes instead of dollars. And the store will sell priced in silver, not priced in dollars. So the biggest change will be you're paying in dollars. You need to pay in another form of money. But the reasons we're in this huge debt Egon talked about is because governments like war. Don't know why. But because they like war, you can't have war with gold. Because, as I just stated, if your expenses are $1 billion, if you make 100,000 and your expenses are 500,000, if you have gold, you have to get more gold. You can't do anything or raise the price of the gold to the 500,000. And in the government, so they print to pay for the war, to pay for the government, to pay for the debt, to pay for Social Security. They print, which makes the value of the money go down to zero. If they're in gold, they can't print. And that's why governments don't like the gold standard, because they can't print it. They're screwed. They can only use, because every dollar has to be backed by gold. So if I have $100, I go to the bank, I get $100 worth of gold. But if there's only $50 of gold left and you've got 1,000, you can't get $1,000 worth of gold. You printed too much of the money. You can't get the gold from the bank. So hence, that's why they don't like the gold standard. But what they don't realize is the Keynesians think, well, we'll just print more money and that'll be it. And then we'll just keep printing. And, we're the reserve currency. We can keep printing. No, you can't, because if you do, it's worthless. Otherwise, go print $37 trillion and try to pay your debt down. Won't happen. You can't do it. So this is the problem. And therefore, that's why we're not on the gold standard, because of the wars and the fact we needed to print more money. A lot of it was the welfare states, where you're handing out money to poor people and you're handing out the Social Security because you fucked that up, and you keep, Joey's paying Social Security to give me some money, but Joey won't have money when he grows up. I mean, it's the stupidest thing in the world. It's just a Ponzi scheme. They just steal your money and then they go, oh, we'll just print the money. That's how we'll do it. And, but the Keynesians don't realize they don't understand you can't keep printing. If you keep printing, it goes to zero. They don't understand that. So that's the point. That's what Egon doesn't get, because COMEX runs the price of gold. And since it's paper and it's done in options, that's why gold's not going up where it should be, which it should be 10 times what it's worth now. It should easily have been, it should be $20,000 an ounce. If Bitcoin's 100,000, gold should be 200,000. There's no way Bitcoin can possibly be worth more than gold. Right? People will say, well, it's limited to 21 million. Prove it. You can't. You don't know what it looks like. You don't know what it feels like. You can't touch it. You can't hold it. You can't spend it. So what is it? Oh, wait, the one pizza store in the world takes Bitcoin. Oh, yeah, I forgot. But it's not real. It's not backed by anything. But if it's worth 100,000, gold should be worth 500,000. Because gold's real and it's limited, far more limited than Bitcoin. It's only 200,000 tons, where Bitcoin's 21 million. So it's not even close. But I love how they call it limited. Well, can you see it? No. Well, how do you know it's limited? Well, because Mr. Fuji, who wrote the program, who we don't know who it is, he's probably some guy from a red Chinese government guy, mafia guy, who probably wrote it. I heard it was done by the red Chinese, but it could be the Russians or the CIA. Who knows? Somebody wrote it. It's a Ponzi scheme, but everybody's jumping in. Oh, I'm going to be rich. I'll buy Bitcoin and I'll never sell it. So it's not money. But if my point is, if it's 100 grand and gold's 500 grand or $1 million, I mean, gold should be worth a lot more than Bitcoin. Anyway, but that's why it's not. It's held down by price fixing on COMEX. That's why it's held down. It's got nothing to do with short term or long term, or because there's a war, everybody runs into gold. If people understood that wars are expensive, everybody would run into gold, because you'd realize you'd have to print money to pay for the war because there's no revenue coming in, right? How does a market work? Well, you sell a product. And then it costs you 30, you sell it for 50, you take the $20 in profit. You pay your employees, you reinvest, you do this and that, but you're selling you're getting revenue in to pay for it, but you're not getting revenue in, with the government. They don't produce revenue. And taxes aren't revenue. Taxes are us working, and then we have to pay for the privilege of working. Oh, isn't that nice? Well, that's not revenue. That's just bullshit. That's just stealing, right? And so the government doesn't make revenue. That's why are they making roads? Why are they in schools? Let the private sector handle everything. If there's profit in it, they'll do it. The only thing is like utilities, where you actually need the government kind of dictating, because it's hard to get profit in utilities because there's monopoly. It's too expensive to have competition. So the government should say, fine, that's the only thing they should regulate. And making sure the money's safe and the laws are safe would also help. But that's where it's at. So that's why the gold price hasn't gone up, is because of COMEX price fixing it, not because of anything else. Let's see, do we get a better price on gold? No, it's still hung up. It's still hung up before 10 o'clock, even though it says 10:38. This does not say 10:38. It's still before 10. I'm wondering what's going on. My spider senses are tingling. Let's go back and see if it gives me. No. Anyway, all right, we'll look into it later. Football yesterday, just the end of a disappointing week. I had Baltimore plus 1.5 or 1, and it was embarrassing. Harbaugh really needs to go, and Lamar, the superstar, looked pretty out of it. 7 sacks. He goes back to see. Here's the problem with Lamar that I always try to tell you. He doesn't know where to go with the ball when he gets the snap. He gets the snap, and then he's looking around, and here comes the pressure. Then he tries to run around, and the Lions actually look like a football team last night, not the team that played Green Bay. So they're very confusing. He doesn't do preseason, so week 1 he just forfeits that week, and then week 2 let's try now. We lost to the Packers, and they beat the Bears. Okay, and then this was surprising. I didn't think of taking the Lions in 10.5. I did think of taking the over, which is usually what I like to do in Baltimore games because they usually go over, and Detroit. But that's okay. It just that's what happened. It was just the way the week went. I mean, Green Bay losing. I did hit one lock, the Tampa and Houston lock, but it was a mess this week. The whole thing. I did watch the Utah-Texas Tech game on that, and I found a channel that is not crazy. I'm looking for an NFL channel that I don't have to watch. The NFL is so bad now. They have all these commercials, all these 1-minute commercials on YouTube. So you watch 3 minutes commercial for a minute. You totally lose the flow of what you're watching, right? You lose the flow of the game, or if you're on Pluto or Tubi, you lose the whole flow of the movie because, here's 6 commercials. Like, fuck, I can't. What movie am I watching? So you have that to look at. So I've updated the college stats, so we're going to go through those. So I'm going to grade the teams and go through the lines. Then we'll look at the pro lines. I didn't do the stat sheet. I take my walk, and then I'm going to do the stats after. No big deal. And we do have a Sunday morning game, Minnesota at Pittsburgh, Minnesota and Pittsburgh from Dublin, Ireland. Thought process being what? You're in England. Thought process being what? You're trying to get new viewers. They're 6 hours, 5-6 hours ahead of us. At 1 o'clock, it's already dinner time there. And I know when I'm in Europe during football season, like Germany, the games are on at midnight. Nobody's interested. And even in the bars where I was at going, can you turn on the pro football game? We don't care about that. We just want to watch soccer. Brazil, I guarantee you, they just want to watch soccer. And in the Ireland, they're probably into golf. They probably don't care about this. So I don't know what the U.S. is doing by having these games there. And if they're charging $500 a ticket, I don't know how anybody's affording it in Europe to go to these games. Anyway, we just, I'm 18-3 the first 2 weeks. And then I don't know what I was. I think it was like 8-5 this week. Let's see. So that was 38-30. So that's a loser. So I go, let's see. I go 0-1, 0-2, 1-2, 2-2, 3-2, 3-3, 4-3. I have a 4-4 week, which to me is terrible. But, this is my bad week, right? 4-4. And this is because Green Bay gets a field goal blocked. and Dallas, CeeDee Lamb gets hurt, and Baltimore. I don't. What is with the go for two? I'm beginning to understand that Harbaugh's an idiot. So, two big blunders at the end of the game yesterday. Montgomery does not take a knee at the 1 yard line as he should have, and then you run the clock out. I think Baltimore had 3 timeouts. Fine. Let them take the timeouts, kick your field goal to go up 10, and then you kick off. Or if you even want, maybe you go on 4th down. Maybe you don't. Well, I guess you do because you're up 7. So he scores by mistake, and then the other way, Baltimore scores to cut it from 14 to 8, and the idiot coach wants to go for 2. Kick your extra point to get down 7. If you're lucky enough to get the onside kick and score another touchdown, you kick your extra point, you go to overtime. You don't fuck around with 2-point conversions. It reminded me of, a Lion coach who did that and lost the championship game to the 49ers. I don't know what they're doing. Again, I saw a lot of the Lions. You can tell the Lions aren't that good when they have to use trick plays. They have to use the college option with the receiver and the running back. They have to use the throw the ball to the quarterback. That's a weak team. You don't see good teams do that. Good teams just run it down your throat. Kansas City tends to run it down your throat. You're not saying throw to Mahomes. I mean, come on. He's the guy throwing. They went for it again on 4th down and 3 or 4 late in the game. They're up 7. What the hell are they doing? That was stupid. Oh, it worked. Oh, what a great throw. Oh. Troy Aikman is terrible. All the Collins were, you should go for it. It's always like, you should go for 4th down. What is it with the commentators that are they being paid to always go for 4th down? I thought that was a terrible call. You punt the ball, you make them use their timeouts. Lamar isn't doing anything. What are you doing? Because if you don't make it, which they never seem to factor in, you let Baltimore the ball at 50-yard line and they're down 7. That's the problem with it. You've got to plan A, we make it. Plan B, we don't. If we don't, we're fucked. That's why you punt the ball. That's what this coach Campbell doesn't understand. That's what Harbaugh doesn't understand going for 2. If I don't make it, I'm down 8. Now I need a 2-point conversion just to tie. Well, just kick your extra points and you're fine. So again, terrible coaching. You can barely watch the game. Aikman's terrible. Why don't they analyze? Why doesn't Aikman say, Lamar looks like shit today, keeps getting sacked. What they need to do is run screens, or they need to do this, or, he needs to hit his tight end more. This is how I would attack it. That's what we want from Troy Aikman, although I don't think he knows that kind of stuff, is the analytics of it. What, not from a statistical point, but what's going on? Why are Detroit sacking them? And then what do you do about it? Well, this is what I would do. Not, God, he looks really good. Lamar, why don't you say Lamar sucks? He's got 7 sacks because he doesn't know where he's throwing the ball. Why don't you tell us that? Don't tell me, Lamar, he's great though. And look at the Lions, this and that. And what a great tackle. I mean, Jesus Christ, what is that? That's not analysis. You're an analyst. Collinsworth, Aikman, Tony Romo, Brady. You're just a bunch of idiots. You're not analyzing anything. You're not coming up with, this is how I would attack it. Brady, why aren't you saying how you would attack these things? Where's Lamar? What's he throwing? What's he doing? Why is he getting sacked? The Lions are blitzing. Well, why aren't you throwing quick passes if they're blitzing? Why can't Lamar pick up the blitz? See, stuff like that. That's why I really don't like Lamar, is this exact thing that happened yesterday. All right, so let's look at the live odds. Let's go to college first. We got East Carolina. This is Thursday, the 25th. So today's Tuesday. 5.5, 52.5. we've got Army as an over team, got a 32 defense, and East Carolina B team with a 15. So now what I will tend to do, but I'm not going to do it now, is I can click into East Carolina, and it's going to bring up who they played. So they played 4 games. NC State, that's a real game. They lost 24-17. Cam is a high school game, so we ignore that. Coastal Carolina, they beat 38-0, who's a Z team. And BYU pounded them 34-13 last week. So you look at their defense, they gave up 24, a shutout, and 34. And on offense, they got 17, 38, 13. You ignore the 56-3 against Campbell. So now you can eyeball it and go, well, they give up about 30 points a game against decent teams, and they score 17 and 13. So East Carolina really probably isn't a B team if we just look at the 2 quality teams they play. And here you get the Army, who is a 32, and we can do the same with Army. So let's look at who Army really is. And if we see that, we see Army lost to a high school team 30-27, a lot of turnovers by the quarterback. But then they go and beat Kansas State after the loss, 24-21. Then they lose to a high-flying North Texas team, I believe in overtime, 45-38. So you can see, the defense isn't there, but the offense is. So even against Tarleton, if we ignore that, they put up 24 in Kansas State and 38 on North Texas. So they should score on Army. So I think they're a live dog, but you can see here we leave the Division II team because they lost to Tarleton. So Army stats are fine, but the East Carolina stats are not fine. So you had to take out that. So that's what I do first I get interested in the game, and then I will do that, and I will see what the real team is, so I can get a real grade on them. Now, it's a little bit early to get the grade, although we are getting into week 5. So most teams have played 4 games. 1 is a high school game. So most teams have played 3 games, and we can pretty much start to get an idea. This week, Penn State and Oregon. Do we have any idea who Penn State is? They haven't played anybody. We'll take a look at that. You've got, how good is Oregon? You got Alabama and Georgia. We know Georgia played Tennessee, a 80-point game. Alabama got their ass kicked by Florida State, and then they played 2 nobodies. Lou Monroe's Z team. So what do you do when they play the Z team? How do you come up with it? You really can't. It's very difficult. Oh, they beat them 73-0. Well, that makes them look like an A team. But it's Lou Monroe. You look at the Florida State game, and but that was week 1. So this is where you'll get a better take on Alabama, Georgia, to see what they got. But we know Georgia, their defense seems very weak. Alabama should have the quarterback down a little bit better. So I would think, I don't know about Georgia under here, which is what we would always do. But Georgia against Tennessee did not look like Georgia under. So we'll have to see what we want to play. But Alabama, all we have is the Florida State game where they got killed. So you go through the games like that. Washington, Ohio State. Who did Ohio State play? They beat a weak Texas offense. Then they beat Grambling 70-0, and then they beat like Akron or somebody. So they're scoring against Z teams and high school teams, and against Texas it was 14-7. And this is like a Texas game, only it's on the road, and it's across country. They got to go from Ohio to Washington, and Washington's pretty good from what I can gather. So again, this is where those type of games I will dig in, but we probably know them most because we see them. We know what happened with Ohio State and Penn State and Oregon, USC. It's the, Southern Miss Jacksonville State game that we have no idea. We have an idea Southern Miss got the Marshall players, but I can't tell you Jacksonville State except for their W team. But again, who did they play? So it starts getting a little clearer the next couple of weeks. Washington, Ohio State, Washington, Oregon, Penn State. Now you see what happens. Now you have a little better flavor. Michigan State went to SC. Now you got a little better flavor of Michigan State. They scored a lot, which they haven't been doing. Their defense got shredded, which that. You got USC this week where they're fucking a noon game at Illinois. What is going on? They're in the West Coast. It's 9 a.m. You made Utah and Texas Tech play at 10 a.m. their time, and now because of big noon, and now you have big noon where you got the Pac, USC from California playing at 9 a.m. What kind of crap is this? This is the problem. So you want to, predict this. Well, it's getting harder and harder because of this. Oh, let's go play. Cal goes to Virginia, and then Boston College goes to Stanford. I mean, that's hard enough. You're throwing in these high school teams for some reason. Why do they play these high school teams? There's not enough. There's 130 teams. You can't find a team to play besides Grambling. Really? This is what you come up with? All right. So I'm going to go through the lines right now. And then maybe I'll go through the teams. Florida State 759.5 to Virginia. Arizona State 2.5, 54.5 to TCU. Houston 13.5, 46.5 to Oregon State. Bowling Green, Ohio 10 and 50 to Bowling Green. Notre Dame 4, 64.5 to Arkansas. Louisville 4.5, 57.5 to Pitt. Duke 6, 60.5 to Syracuse. That line's kind of weird because Syracuse isn't. They just beat Clemson and you're making them a home dog to Duke. My Georgia Tech 14, 52.5 to Wake. So I can go through this quicker and then I can go and look. Oh, well, let me see. Oh, wait. Well, okay. So Georgia Tech and Wake. Georgia Tech's an A team. Wake's an E team. But as I said, we have to dig in a little bit more because of the high school teams they played. So we really don't know. We know Georgia Tech's an A team, but we don't know what Wake Forest is. So we got to look at Wake Forest to see that. So here's all the lines, and I'm interested in these 20 games, and I will look at the detail of the 20 later on, and then we'll be able to, okay, these 7 or 8 we'll pick. Minnesota 5.5, 50.5 to Rutgers. Rutgers was right in it. They threw a bad interception going for the tie, so just bad luck. Kansas 5.5, 55.5 to Cincinnati. Like Kansas. Kansas is a good team, good defense. North Texas 12.5, 64.5. Kansas State 6, 49.5 to UCF. USC 6.5, 59.5 at fucking noon. It's not even noon for Illinois because they're on the Central Time. So noon is 11 o'clock for Illinois and 9 o'clock for USC. Why is this game not at 3:30? I mean, it's just insane. Let's make the California team play at 9 o'clock, and they'll look tired and they'll look, and then last week's game was at 11 o'clock. At USC for Michigan State had to play at 11 o'clock. It's just making these teams do this is just crazy. Somebody said the teams agree to it. That's bullshit. USC's agreeing to play at 9 a.m. I don't think so. Vandy 22.5, 59.5 to Utah State. Utah State's not bad. They got Bronco Mendenhall now as the coach, and they've been playing pretty good. Central Michigan 653.5 to Eastern Michigan. James Madison 17.5, 57.5 to Georgia Southern. Georgia Southern, I think, is a Z team. No, they're an over team now, but they give up a lot, 38 points. I think Georgia State's the Z team. Lou Monroe 2.5, 55.5 to Ark State. I think they're a Z team. Toledo 21-48.5 to Akron. Toledo off of a loss. Utah off of a loss. 10.5, 48.5 to West Virginia. This game's at 3:30, so at least it's a like 1:30 game for Utah. At least it's after 10 o'clock, after they've had their cornflakes. I watched Total Recall, and the guy, I could be home having my cornflakes. I'm like, really? You're eating cornflakes? So look for Utah off the lot, and you know they didn't look bad. My Utah friend was watching, and he said, "Oh, I don't like this. Dampier doesn't look." He threw a perfect touchdown that was called back for lineman downfield. What kind of crap is this? The refs are just fixing these games. Something awful. San Diego State 2.5, 42.5 to Northern Illinois. Again, you've got San Diego. This will be a noon game for San Diego. Same thing, Cal BC. It's a noon game for Cal. 3:30 for Boston College. Boston College 6.5, 52.5. UConn Buffalo, UConn 3, 50.5. They're pretty good this year, UConn. Indiana 7.5, 48.5 at Iowa. So now the question is, this is what happens to a lot of gamblers. They look at the last hand of poker or blackjack or craps or football. So you see Indiana 73-3 to Illinois or whatever it was, 63-7, whatever. They kill them. So that's the image you take into this game. Well, Indiana killed Illinois at home. Now they're going to Iowa, who beat Rutgers. Their offense looks decent. So now you have, is Indiana going to be able to give that effort this week? And the answer is no, because they were sky high at home and beats a good Illinois team, very good Illinois team. But now you're a home favorite. Here you're a road favorite. And Iowa will take it personally. We're a home dog to Indiana, really? And so that's what happens. And it's difficult for Indiana to get to the same level this week as they were last week. And now they're traveling, which makes it a little more difficult. And then we're a road favorite to Iowa. They've probably never been a road favorite to Iowa. In 50 years, they've probably never been. Iowa would have been the favorite every time. So this right here is square one of betting football. What do I do with this game? Because in my mind is Indiana 63-7 to Illinois. So I immediately think that's what's going to happen here. But it's not at home. It's not Illinois, and you're at Iowa, a whole different team, a little stronger defense with Iowa. Although Illinois should have had a good defense. Illinois had a better quarterback. They ran it down Illinois' throat. Can you run it down Iowa's throat? Not as likely. Can it be done? Yeah. Is Indiana really that good? And this is the question. If they played Ohio State this week, I mean, would you be jumping all over Indiana? Or Penn State or Washington. I don't know. They are a very good team. Still, they won 63-7. You can't ignore it. But it's not like Alabama and Georgia, where these are superstar teams. Indiana, we'll see. Mendoza looks good, the quarterback. They're running the ball great. The defense apparently is very strong. At home makes it big. You got the crowd and everything. So they're going to Iowa, and they're going to, the little children's hospital in the fourth quarter and everything. So will they 40-3 Iowa? Or is Iowa a little upset they're a home dog and Indiana can't possibly reach the same level? I say this when I talk about like the letdown. So in 74, our Oakland Miami Sea of Hands game, Oakland wins it on a miracle at the end. Fine. In comes Pittsburgh. They have no chance because they cannot possibly get to the same level that they did against Miami as they're going to do against Pittsburgh. And it's a little different team, Pittsburgh. And that is the lesson, is Now, wasn't Indiana and Illinois that type of game where they have a letdown? I don't think so. I think if they beat Ohio State like that, this would be a letdown. If you beat Penn State like that, this would be a letdown. Beating Illinois, I don't think is as severe as a letdown as the Oakland-Miami game for all my Oakland friends here. But that's Oklahoma, Texas, Michigan, Ohio State. Those are wars, and it's hard to get up the week after. That's all I'm saying. So can Indiana get up after beating Illinois? I think it's more the way they beat Illinois, 63-7. If they would have won 21-17, yeah, who cares? Now the spread is 7.5 because they did that to Illinois, which is kind of this skewed thing because you can't really, what are you going to do with it? So this will be very interesting. Do I think Indiana's a good team? Absolutely. Do I think they're better than Iowa? Absolutely. Do I like them as a road favorite? Absolutely not. Do I like Iowa as a home dog? I don't know. They did beat Rutgers, but Rutgers doesn't look the same. They don't look like that have that tough defense that they always have. So that's what we're running into is still basing the Indiana and the Iowas are, I don't think so. I want to take Iowa as a home dog. I don't think so either. I don't want to really bet against Indiana, but are they the Alabamas and Georgias and Ohio State can go be road favorites. Indiana's maybe. Against Iowa, I'm not sure they're ready to be road favorites. Teams can be good dogs, good road dogs, good home favorites, but to be a road favorite, you got to be an Alabama or Georgia, and it's Indiana. So this will be interesting to see just how good they are. If they destroy Iowa, we'll be betting Indy the rest of the year, laying 25 points. We don't even care. So that's what we'll see. And, Iowa winning at Rutgers, very impressive. That's why I'm kind of leery here going, well, fuck, they won at Rutgers and they were a road favorite. And now here they go at home. Indiana's got the better team, better quarterback, probably the better running back, probably the better coach. So this should be a good game. I think the game will be close unless Indiana's this, the Joe Montana team of the 80s where, they're going to win every game by 35. Anyway, just food for thought there. That's how that's where you get in trouble. You see the team and they blow them out, and then you think, that'll happen this week. I'll bet them this week. And a perfect example is Toledo. They beat Western Kentucky pretty good, and then here they are at Western Michigan, a Z team, and they lose. And you're like, what the fuck? You didn't get the same team because it's at home or the road, and you're playing a whole different team with a whole different matchup problem. All right, enough said. Northwestern, 6.5, 44.5 against UCLA at home. So it's in Illinois. UCLA, at least it's a 12:30 game for them. Traveling there, it's very difficult. They're not very good, UCLA, but neither is Northwestern. Rice and the Navy 14.5, 45.5. Go Navy, beat Army. Navy's very good this year. Baylor, 20.5, 58.5. And I can tell you without looking, Oklahoma State's a Z team with the freshman quarterback, and Baylor kind of got screwed by Arizona State last week. Look for them to play much better. See, that's the other end of it when you lose. And that's what we'll get to with USC and Illinois. How does that affect the loser of the game? Old Miss, 1.5, 54.5 to LSU. Very good game. We see LSU doesn't have offense. Nussberger is not it, but their defense is strong. Old Miss beat a bunch of nobody. They beat Kentucky 30-23, the one team they played. Auburn, A&M 6.5, 52.5. Went to Notre Dame and got the W. Auburn went to Baylor and got the W. And then last week at Oklahoma, very interesting game. They played pretty well. I think A&M's a little bit better here. Ohio State, Washington. Let's see what the real line is. I got 8.5, 9.5. Oh, there's a bunch of, okay. So we're going to go Ohio State 9.5, 51.5 to Washington. I think Washington's a live dog here. I don't buy Ohio State. Okay, they beat a weak Texas team, and then they played Grambling, and then they played a high school team here. Well, I let me get to it, but we'll read through it. I'll give you what I can read on it. Good morning, Eric. I got that part. Don't worry about it. But like here, I think Washington's got a new quarterback. I think his name's Edwards. He's like, probably like Justin Herbert. He can run really well, but he can throw real well. And Washington, he's only a sophomore, they've been blowing out. They just blew out Washington State. And just look for them to they'll give Ohio State a game. And Ohio State, they haven't done anything except for beat Grambling. I mean, well, if they can beat Grambling 73-0, they'll handle Washington at Washington. So, I'm not. It's actually a noon game for Washington, a 3:30 game for Ohio State. Funny how that happened. Why isn't this the 10 o'clock game, right? So Washington, look for them. Now, they could pull the upset, and if they pull the upset, then I would look for them to be flat the next game. So this would be a good game. I don't think I'm not sitting there going, Ohio State will kill them. No, they beat Arch Manning. This is a real quarterback they got here. And it's travel, and it's in Washington, and Washington is fired up for it. So we'll see. The Air Force, 653.5 to Hawaii. Air Force, I don't know where their defense went, but they're very explosive offensively. Hawaii, good luck, Hawaii, in this one. New Mexico, 13.5, 54.5 to New Mexico State. I like New Mexico's coach. They played fairly well at Michigan. We'll see. Tulane, 14.5, 52.5 to Tulsa. Now, here's what I'm talking about. They played Ole Miss in a big game, and Ole Miss killed them. It was like 62-7 or something. But now they get Tulsa, and now they're mad. Now they have purpose, Tulane, and they're a very good team. Okay, they went up in price. They got a bad matchup with Ole Miss, but this is Tulsa, and they will be pissed, and it doesn't matter. It's on the road. Look for Tulane to play a great game. Now we got to study Tulsa, and can Tulsa stay with them or not? Tennessee goes to Old Mississippi State. Tennessee 7.5, 61.5 to Old Mississippi State, who's much better this year. They have the Baylor quarterback from a few years ago, Blake Shapen, who was very good, got hurt, got replaced. Shoya Robertson looks great, the Baylor quarterback. He should be the number one quarterback taken. I still like Dampier, but this guy's great. Shoya Robertson, very good. Tennessee, Joey Aguilar, Old Mississippi State. Shapen, I don't know that this is an automatic win for Tennessee. Mississippi State beat somebody decent at home a couple weeks ago. So we will see. But Tennessee's much better at home. They're not great road favorites, so we'll see. Old Dominion 16.5, 51.5 against Liberty. Old Dominion's a good team. Liberty, the coaches are moving around, so they're not as strong this year. We'll take a look at it. Kennesaw State, 7.5, 51.5 to Middle Tennessee. Just peripherally looking at the game, Middle Tennessee is a Z team, and Kennesaw State is a W. They're not much better. That Kennesaw State, it's just Mississippi. Middle Tennessee is so bad that maybe Kennesaw State wins because they're bad. But this isn't really a game we want to bet against Middle Tennessee. We want Tulane against Middle Tennessee. Memphis, 13.5, 61.5 against Florida Atlantic. Memphis won a big game. They beat Arkansas 32-31, just to show you. And that was at home. This is at Florida Atlantic. They're 13.5, 61.5. North Carolina State and VTech. North Carolina State 10.5, 58.5. VTech is going down. They're just not very good this year. Southern Miss 456.5. Southern Miss has all the Marshall people. Jacksonville State, I believe, is a Z team. We'll go through the ratings. This could be a good Southern Miss play because they're better, but are they up to Marshall's? They got the Marshall quarterback who was 16-2 last year, touchdowns, interceptions, but are they? They're not playing like Marshall. I think they lost last week, but here they're at home against a very weak team. So here's where the Marshall edge could come in. Very good game. Iowa State 648.5 to Arizona. Iowa State, excellent team. Arizona looks pretty good this year. This is not Iowa State, no, win by 40. No. This is 27-24, I think. Total 48.5. We'll have to check Iowa and Arizona, Iowa State, Arizona in a minute. But so this should be a very good game. Good quarterback, Noah Fahita at Arizona. Western Kentucky 4.5, 60.5 to Missouri State. Missouri State Division II team up to Division I. Western Kentucky just as explosive. They got the Abilene Christian quarterback who looks good, so they should handle this. But stranger things have happened. Boise 16.5, 16.5 to App State. Boise turned it on last week. They're at home. We'll see. Stanford 2.5, 49.5 to San Jose State. Stanford thinks San Jose State is not. They're pretty bad. I don't know. Maybe Stanford wins because they're at home, but a 7:30 game for both teams. Missouri 44, 56.5 to UMass. UMass is the worst team. I don't know if they could beat Division II teams. 44.5. Yeah, Missouri. We love Missouri this year. Great quarterback, high scoring team, played pretty well. We will see. So I'm looking at this. I never lay 40, but I'm looking at laying 40 here. UMass won't score, so it's hard to go over. But if you get the over, it's because Missouri put up a 60. But if you got the 60, then they're going to cover the 44.5. So I am thinking about Missouri. They're very explosive this year. Let's skip down and answer Eric's question. So here we got Georgia 352.5 to Alabama. What do we know? We know Georgia went to overtime in a 42-40 game with Tennessee at Tennessee. Tennessee just lit them up. First 4 times they got touchdowns. Georgia came back. Georgia, Tennessee, their defense looks like they're an over. I take Georgia as an over on that. Alabama got crushed by Florida State. They've never seen a running quarterback before at Alabama, I guess, even though he had Michael Penix at Washington, the coach. Let's take a look. Alabama, okay, they lose 31-17 at Florida State. They beat Lou Monroe, who I believe is a Z team, 73-0, whoever Lou Monroe is. Let's get a Lou Monroe reading. There's Lou Lafayette. I need the other Lou, the Lou Monroe. Here it is. They're a Z team with a 33 defense. Now, part of it's because they gave 73 up to Alabama. And then they beat Wisconsin 38-14. So are they any better? Well, okay, you lose to Florida State. You couldn't stop a running quarterback. Don't understand. Then you get mad, and that's what we look for. And they beat Lou Monroe 73. It was do or die. They had to win the game where the coach is done. 73-0. Then they get a Wisconsin team who's not great, 38-14. All we can compare is Georgia 2 is Florida State. Florida State with a tough defense. They put up 17 on them. And this is a running quarterback Well, that's not what Georgia is. So let's go into Georgia and we look at, okay, the Tennessee game. They won 44-41 because the Tennessee kicker had never kicked a clutch kick before, and everybody knew he was going to miss, and he missed by 15 yards wide right. And then Georgia gets the ball and wins. They beat Marshall 45-7, who stinks. And I believe this is a high school team, APSU, because they're laying 46 points. It's not, might be Appalachian. It's not App State from the Sun Belt. I don't know who this is, but it's a high school team, and they won 28-6. So what do we got with Georgia? Okay, they put up 44 in Tennessee at Tennessee. That's legit. They gave up 41 to Tennessee. So they give up 7 to Marshall, 6 to the high school team, but then Joey Aguilar now does Alabama have a real quarterback? Let's look at it. Alabama, I got again as an A team, but I don't know because one was a high school. Well, no, they beat Wisconsin and they got killed by Florida State. I got them with the 15 defense, but again, Florida State put up more. And again, when you play Lou Monroe 73-0, it does tend to make your defense better. So let's call it a 20 defense. Total in the game is 53, 411 yards for Alabama. Now that counts because you got to include Florida State and Wisconsin in that mess, and it's an average. Georgia I got as an over team based on the Tennessee game. They got an 18 defense, which I don't know. You gave up 7 to Marshall and 41 to Tennessee, so that's 48. That's 24. Again, that's the problem with average, but I would say Alabama's offense is comparable to Tennessee, so I'm calling this Georgia, Tennessee, part 2, only Alabama. They do have a good quarterback. Georgia, 449 yards, you got to go with. So you've got a team, Alabama, explosive against Lou Monroe. You've got Georgia, not even explosive against Marshall, but played a good game with 10. When they needed this, they were down like 28-7, and they tied it up and came back. And I think it went to overtime. But so that's big. They went to Tennessee and grew up. I don't know. I'm kind of, do I want Georgia? Do I want Alabama as a dog? Normally, this is take Georgia under, but I can't do that here. Based on the Tennessee game, a good quarterback, which I think Alabama's is okay. I don't think he's great. The total is 53. So again, are they going to play like they did against Tennessee, or are they going to play like they did against Marshall? And the same for Alabama. Are they going to play like they did against Florida State, or are they going to play the way they did against Wisconsin? A little of both. Thank you. Welcome to averages. So you're really sitting there and you're really just perplexed. You're like, what the fuck do I do? And this is a real tough game, Eric. I would probably, the way Alabama's played Wisconsin, think they're a live dog. I think the only way to bet this game is over because Alabama, with DeBoer as an offensive coach, and what Georgia showed against Tennessee, this is a 53 goes to 47, which is 28-20. And I can't imagine that we don't get that with DeBoer and the way Georgia came on against Tennessee. So the only way I would bet this, primarily go over, minority go Alabama as 9, but that would be a very small play because I don't want to fuck with Georgia at Georgia, right? So that's the problem. Georgia will find a way to win this game, I believe. Maybe not, but no, the way they played Tennessee, they'll find a way. They'll find a way to get the W, and that's, you really don't want to bet against Georgia at home. So I think I'd go over in the game, Eric. I don't know. I don't have enough, it's like, okay, 44-41 against Tennessee. And they were down, and Tennessee just threw all over them. Well, Alabama's going to throw all over them also. But at the end of the day, Georgia still won at Tennessee. And that's the thing. So does Alabama have this killer defense? I'm not seeing it. So for Alabama, we can look at the Florida State game. It was 31-17. So that's a 48, which is fine. You can't count Lou Monroe. Wisconsin, 38-14 is a 52. Wisconsin, decent defense, but they're not as strong as they used to be. And obviously no offense. So I think you got an over. I think you look at the Florida State game, 48, and you look at Georgia, Tennessee, and you got 80, 85. Yeah, I just think that Georgia, the day of Georgia giving up 7 points a game, which we loved, and all their players around Philadelphia and a number 7 on Green Bay, I think you just have to go like that. So my thought is go over on it. Will I play it? I don't know. Possibly. But see, it's not the best option. And that's what I try to do. So it could be one of my 20, then weed it down to 10. But I don't think it'll make the cut on the 10. So it's not like, oh, your free play is Georgia over. That's not going to happen unless I figure out something else. All right. Colorado State, 4.5, 50.5 to Washington State. Washington State's terrible. They just got killed they're like a Z team. Colorado State's okay, nothing great. Oregon, Penn State. Let's break this the same way. So Penn State's 3.5, 52.5 to Oregon. Who has Oregon State played? They beat Oregon State, who's a Z team, I believe. Yeah, Oregon State's a Z team. Oregon beat Moss. That's what, Missouri State, or I don't even know who that is. That's high school. They beat Oklahoma State, who's a Z team, 69-3. They beat Northwestern, 34-14. And then they beat Oregon State, another Z team, 41-7. So Oregon hasn't played anybody. We don't know who they are. And here they got Penn State. We have no idea what to do with this game. Stat-wise, Oregon's an A team with a 9 defense, but Northwestern put up 14 on them. And Oregon State and Oklahoma State don't have offenses. You have absolutely no idea here on Oregon State, but let's see, what do we have with Penn State? Penn State, we've got beat Nevada, they're pretty weak, Nevada. Colorado State's a little better, yeah. Nevada. Let's see if I can quickly locate them. If not, I can look at last week. Yeah, Georgia State's the Z team, not Georgia Southern. Nevada. Nevada's a W team with a 25 defense, 300 yards of offense. So now part of the reason they're a W team is they played Penn State and lost 46-11. Then Penn State beats Florida International 34-0, and then Villanova. What are they playing Villanova for? They haven't played a real team yet. They beat a W team, Florida International. Do I have them? Let's see. See, that's the problem. If they play a high school team or they're off, I don't have them on the list. I only have Division Ones playing. Florida International. No, I don't. I'll have to look on my spreadsheet, but I'll do that later. But again, so they beat them 34-0. So what do we know with Penn State? Absolutely nothing. They beat a bad Nevada team and maybe a decent, a decent Florida International, who I think beat Florida Atlantic pretty good. So they're winning 46-11, Nevada 34-0, Florida International, and you wipe out the 52-6 against Villanova, a high school team. So they score about 40 and give up, 11 and a 0. But what we can see is 400 yards of offense in Oregon, 500 yards of offense. You got Oregon. Let's see, what time is this game? This game's at 7:30, so this is a very good game for Oregon. USC gets screwed. They got to play at noon. They got to play at 9 in the morning. Here, Oregon gets to play at 4:30. That's a huge advantage for Oregon there. Again, seeing what we see, we have absolutely no idea. We're going to take the Nevada game. Oregon, it's all good. They travel fairly well. I'm not sold on Dante Moore yet. We'll see what he looks like. The key to the game is pressuring the quarterback. Who gets the sacks and who can run the ball will win the game. And I don't know who that is. I don't know how good Oregon is. They might be great, but they haven't played anybody. And that's where we land. Oregon State and Oklahoma State are at least Division I, but they're Z teams. So I don't know. That's a difficult one. South Carolina 6.5, 46.5 to Kentucky. Norris did play yet last week. Missouri won 29-20. So I got caught waiting for the injury. I couldn't play the game, and I'd already made my picks, unfortunately. Lou Lafayette, 1.5, 46.5 to Marshall. Marshall's terrible. Lou Lafayette, quarterback's out. It's they're not that that good this year. Lou Tech 4 over U. Lou Tech is a B team and UTEP's an E. I don't know. I don't know. Lou Tech be favored over anybody. And our last game is BYU 6.5, 47.5 over prime time Colorado at Colorado. BYU an 18 with a 5 defense, 438. They have the quarterback who's at Tulane, Ratzliff, but he got suspended and then so he transferred. And then you have a freshman who's I don't know how good he is, and then Colorado, but they have a killer defense. And Colorado, an E team, 22 defense. They did beat Delaware, because they thought it was Michigan. So that's what you have there. So those are the lines. Let's see what's going on if the gold chart has been updated. So now it's 11:31, and I don't know what my gold chart's still at 10 to 10. Huh. Let me check. Let me just go to Google where they have the general gold prices. See, we're being misled. We don't know what the price is because it's still priced at chart, not priced in real, unless they took it off to recalibrate it. Well, the futures are at 38.10. So it's probably close to where it was. Yeah, so we're blind right now. on here, which is just doing a Google, what's the gold price as of 11/21? It's 38.10, but it's the futures. We want spot. Gold spot price, 38.01. If that's live. Here's our spot price, 37.98. Look at the $20 bid price. Huh, interesting. Silver 44.61, so that's where it's been. It doesn't give me a time. This is 37.80, which is the live price. All right. So for whatever reason, we're about 37.80, and then silver's about 44.60. But I don't know why this isn't working. All right. So let's see something. I got a WhatsApp that says, "Hi, Professor," and I'm going, "Who is this?" I hate when people do that. Who are you? Don't, say, "Hi, this is Howard. This is the professor." How do you just say hi? Like, okay, yeah, okay, like I know the phone number. The Dow is 46,493, up 112. This is the biggest scam of everything, is that this could actually be this high. Absolutely ridiculous. All right. Let's go through some of these games. Florida State, Virginia, they're both A teams. Virginia, good quarterback. Florida State, 7.5, 57. TCU, Arizona State, both A teams, both with 20 defenses. And these are pretty good. ASU played Baylor. TCU has played Auburn. So you have some just of who they are. Houston, an A team, plays Oregon State, a Z team, on Friday night. That's 12-47. Houston's a very good team, very well coached. Let's see, Notre Dame and Arkansas, they're both O teams, both over teams. Notre Dame can't stop anybody. Miami and A&M just killed them, and Purdue put up 30. So Notre Dame has a very weak defense. Arkansas can throw the ball. This is Notre Dame 4-64. Louisville and Pitt, both are A teams. I don't like Louisville's quarterback, Miller Moss from USC. He wasn't very good at USC. Now he goes to Louisville. I don't know. Louisville 3-56 at Pitt. Duke at Syracuse. They're both over teams. Duke Ncaa, very good quarterback from Tulane. Duke a 32 defense. Syracuse a 28. Syracuse just beat Clemson. I don't think they'll be flat. They could be a little flat, but I really don't get Duke being favored here. So in my putting the lines down as I did yesterday, I had Syracuse -7. Both are over teams. The line comes out, Duke's 4.5-point favorites. This is why we make our own line. I don't buy that. I think Syracuse is the better team and should be favored. They just beat Clemson, and they played another good game. Tennessee beat them, but that wasn't bad. Duke, very explosive offense, but I don't buy their defense. I think this is another game that I think the wrong team's favored. Georgia Tech, A team against Wake Forest. So Wake Forest, we know all about Georgia Tech and Haynes King. Wake Forest, an E team with the 17 defense. We'll see about taking Georgia Tech here. Rutgers, Minnesota, an A team, Rutgers an E team, Minis 5-50. Kansas, 6-55 to Cincinnati. Cincinnati's a B team. Haven't really played anybody. Kansas is very good. We like our Kansas team. So we have our little Kansas, Vanderbilt, Virginia, Georgia Tech. Those teams, they're not Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia, but they fall in where like they're gonna beat all these other teams, except if they play in Ohio State or in Alabama. Like Vanderbilt, Vanderbilt beat Alabama last year. So those are very live teams here. Kansas, I had a -10. They're only -6. We'll see what the line is today. But that's maybe we'll make this our free play. Let's see. What's our line today? I don't know. I gotta pick a winner for the free pick. Kansas 5.5. And a 4.5. Total of 55. We'll have to look. We'll got to check injuries. But Kansas might be our free play. They're too good. Cincinnati, I don't smell what they're cooking. Let's take a look at Cincinnati. I think I've already done this, but I'll do it again. They lost to Nebraska 20-17. They beat Bowling Green 34-20, who's an under team, and then Northwestern State 79. So take that out of it. So they've scored 25 and given up 20. So they're really not a B team. They're more of an E team and more with the 25 defense. So I'm going to write that in. So Cincinnati's more of a 25. So we're going to call them an E team, where we're going to call them with the 20 defense, not the 13 defense. See, there's where you got to adjust it. So you take this Northwestern State out of it, where they won 70-0, but it skews it. They really gave up 20 to Nebraska, 20 to Bowling Green. They're really a 20 defense. But look how they slide down to 15 or 14 with a shutout against the high school team. Kansas, we know they're pretty good. So we'll keep our eye on that. North Texas, an A team against South Alabama, an over team. We know North Texas is very explosive. North Texas 12 and a total of 63, and that makes sense, the total 63. UCF and Kansas State. Kansas State lost a couple of games. They barely beat North Dakota, and then they lost to my Army team. And 26, 6-49. UCF hasn't played anybody. Kansas State doesn't look that good. So I don't know. This is a toughie. USC, an A team, 19 defense, played real teams against Illinois, an E team with the 21 defense, which is skewed because of the 60 points they gave up. Illinois gets 338 yards. Now that you don't fuck with, but USC 555. USC is very potent. Maivia, excellent quarterback. Illinois was good. Altmaier was good. I don't know what happened to him. Last week it was 7-7, and that was it. Now you got a pissed off Illinois team after being embarrassed at home, playing at 9 a.m. for USC, playing a noon game. So there's a lot of maybe we watched USC this week. They did play at Purdue pretty decently, and then they scored a lot on Michigan State, but Michigan State put up 30. So I don't know that they have the defense. We think Illinois has got to play their best game of the year after losing the way they did. And they were a pretty good team. So I don't know. I don't think I'll touch USC. Maybe total wise, USC scores. Their defense isn't great. Maybe we go that way. That's why I play the total sometimes. I really don't want to fuck with USC -1 after because it's 9 a.m. and after the way Illinois got beat. And Illinois is not a bad team. So I'm like, I don't want to fuck with that. But I could fuck with the over-under because USC can score and Illinois can score. So we'll see. They're not going to lose 63-7 here. All right. Utah State, Vandy. Utah State's an over team with the 24 defense. Vandy, we love Daggio. Put up a 70 last week for us. It's very nice of him. They're laying 22 and a total of 59. So you're reading Utah State and you're going, well, they score Broccoman. So that's the read. Vandy, well, is Vandy going to kill him or we're going to get a lot of points? And that's the decision. Central and Eastern, Michigan. Central is a W team. They were a Z team. They got killed by Michigan after their loss. So again, you're looking. The loss gives you're pissed, and you're going to play a very good game. So look at Michigan Central. Then Michigan against Nebraska was a fluke. I still can't believe the under didn't win in that game. I mean, the quarterback didn't do anything. He's just handing off, and they're going 75 yards for a touchdown and 59 yards for a touchdown. And then a Hail Mary. You're like, what the fuck's going on? Georgia Southern, James Madison. Georgia Southern, an over team, and James Madison, a B team. Total Madison is 1756. Georgia Southern, I don't know. They have an over team. Let's see who they played, and a 56 total. So we have to see how good James Madison. And again, it's who did they play? Arkansas State and Lou Monroe. Lou Monroe, the Z team. Arkansas State, the W team. The Z team's favored at home. Lou Monroe, 3-55. And both teams have a 33 defense. I love it. Akron, Toledo. Again, Toledo off of the loss to Western Michigan, who is a Z team. How the fuck did they do that? They're an A team. They're laying 21 in a total of 48. Akron's a Z team with the 29 defense. And Toledo, fairly good team usually. So Toledo off of the loss will be pissed. It's a conference game, as was that one. Their goal is to win the conference, which they usually do. They're usually in the championship game with Ohio, Miami of Ohio, Toledo, Northern Illinois. Those are the teams usually in it. So here you got them off of a loss against the team. That's a W, Akron. The Akron Open. So, yeah, this is a spot for Toledo, I think. Utah, West Virginia. Utah, a B team. West Virginia, a W. They did beat Pitt, but they lost to Ohio. And then they got killed last week by my Kansas team. See, it's funny. I see the line 13. I go, that's way too high. And then Kansas wins by 50. And you're like, what the hell happened in that game? So West Virginia looks like they're better at home. Utah, Dampier still looked fine. It was a lot of turnovers in the game. There was 2 interceptions in the end zone by Utah, and there was 2 or 3 fumbles by Utah running the ball. So it was a mess. Utah, again, this is a what do you call a conference game? I wanted to call it a division game. Utah -10, a B. West Virginia, good running team. This is where Utah's defense comes in. And then Devin Dampier should have a big game here. So I think Utah will be pissed after their loss. They're a good team. It was a 10 o'clock game for them. Again, the fucking TV fucks them up. San Diego State, Northern Illinois. San Diego State, a B team. Northern Illinois under San Diego State's 3-42. Cal and BC. Cal's an E team, BC an over team. The line I had BC 7, it's BC 6-51. Again, you got Cal traveling to the East Coast, to Boston. It's like the Lakers and the Celtics. So Cal's flying to Boston, and they're 6-point dogs. I think the game's in the afternoon, so that helps them a little bit. Really, the only one getting screwed so far is USC having to play at 9 in the morning. What the fuck is that? You can't find another Big Ten game? Why don't you put the Indiana-Iowa game on big noon? I mean, Jesus. Connecticut and Buffalo. Connecticut an over team, pretty good quarterback this year. Buffalo a B team, 20 defense. Connecticut's favorite on the road, 3-50. Can Connecticut be a road favorite? Offensively, they can. Defensively, I don't think so. Here we go. Indiana and Iowa. Both are A teams. Indiana with an 8 defense and looked like it last week, and Iowa with a 14. How emotional can Indiana get after doing what they did last week is the question. You got Iowa as a home dog. I used to keep the college stats. There's just too many teams. I mean, it'd take me an hour and a half to who won and who lost, and then added it on the spreadsheet. So I stopped doing it. But it was pretty accurate, though. But Iowa, the good win against Rutgers. We'll see how good Indy. So Indy is 7. Again, 2 good defensive teams. However, Indy put up 60 points last week. Iowa, Rutgers scored on them. So Indy's going to score on Iowa. I don't think they have the defense. Total of 48. Maybe that's doable, the total. I mean, if it was a regular game, I would probably take Iowa as a dog. After what I saw last week, it's hard to resist taking Indiana -1, but that's why it's hard to take it. So you have to differentiate. Are they going to be flat after that game? And I don't think they will, but they're still on the road at Iowa, who just beat Rutgers. So UCLA, a Z team, Northwestern, an under team. Northwestern 7-44. I don't know how Northwestern can be favored over anybody, but UCLA is pretty shitty. They just fired their coach. The Navy against Rice. Rice an under team with a 20 defense. Navy an A team, 18 defense, 435 yards a game, 300, about 80 is running. So look for the Navy. Should be strong. Because if Rice gets behind, I don't think they can catch up. They don't score enough. Baylor, Oak State, as I said, Baylor the over team, Oak State the Z team, Baylor 20-59. We touched Ole Miss, LSU. LSU obviously can't score. Ole Miss an A team. Ole Miss 3-55. Bobby, are we going to win this week or not? A&M over 29 defense. Played a high scoring game with Notre Dame. Auburn, a B team with a 17. Went to Baylor and won. the quarterback ran all over the place. Oklahoma, the quarterback ran all over the place. So it's we'll have to see what's going on there. Um, 7-52. A&M, Reed, the great quarterback. That's what the Washington quarterback's like, is Reed, the A&M quarterback. Very hard to tackle, but a very good thrower. So that's the kind of quarterback. Well, we like the pocket passer, but we don't like the runner, because look at Lamar last night. But we do like the runner who can throw, and Lamar can't do that, which is why you hate betting on Lamar, because he does that shit. And if you put pressure on him, he folds. Anyway, Ohio State we've talked about against Washington, both A teams, great quarterback for Washington. Ohio State beat Texas, that's it. Washington beat Washington State. Who cares? 500 yards of offense. So this should be a good game. Who did Washington beat? I know we looked at it. See, that's the thing. We know what Ohio State did. Do we know what Washington did? Washington. Yeah, they beat Colorado State 38-21. We had them, and we won with them at the end. Then they beat whoever UC Cal Davis 70-10. That doesn't count. Washington State, who's pretty bad, 59-24. So we really don't know Washington either. So we'll find out what we know. Ohio State, they're not that strong offensively, good defense. Washington should be strong offensively. Washington will be very emotional in this. Ohio State's defense, their offense isn't going to show up. It's a really tricky 10 and 52, and you're like, well, it's hard to bet over with Ohio State. It's hard to bet under with Washington's offense, so we will see. Hawaii Air Force, Hawaii an under team, Air Force an over, Air Force 6-53. New Mexico, B team, New Mexico State an under team, both with 22 defenses. New Mexico 14-54. I'm factoring in the offense when I call New Mexico an under, and State and under, New Mexico a B, even though they both have 22 defenses. But if New Mexico's scoring 15 points, New Mexico State scoring 15 points, I might come on under. And if New Mexico's putting up 30, then that's why I call them a B. Tulane, an over team, 26 defense. Tulsa, an under team, 20. Tulane, after getting the shit beat out of them by Mississippi, probably want to play. And they're a good team when they want to be. Tennessee, Old Mississippi State. Tennessee, an over team, 28 defense. And we got Mississippi State, a B team with a 12 defense. Tennessee, 7.5, 61. This is just like the USC game. Do we trust them on the road? No, this is like the Indiana game. Do we trust Tennessee on the road against a pretty good Mississippi State team? Just like, do we trust Indiana on the road at Iowa? I mean, those are the games. Those are tough. You really want like we had last week, what we had Vanderbilt, the A team, against Georgia State, the Z team, and we're only laying 26, and Vandy wins 70-21. Those are the games we really want to bet. We don't really want to fuck with Penn State, Oregon, and Iowa, Indiana, and Tennessee, Old Mississippi State, unless we play totals in them. It's very hard. You don't want to fuck with. You want the bet that makes more sense. Speaking of a Z team, we got Kennesaw State, a W, against Middle Tennessee, a Z. We've got Kennesaw State 8-51. I'm not thrilled with Kennesaw State. Middle Tennessee's terrible. Memphis, Florida Atlantic. We got Memphis an A team, Florida Atlantic over team. Memphis is 13-61. the Virginia Tech, NC State. We got NC State, an over team. Virginia Tech, a W, kind of weak offense with drones, and they're 10. So NC State's 10-51. Southern Miss 4-56 to Jacksonville State. Southern Miss, an over team. They are scoring with the Marshall quarterback, and Jacksonville State's a W. So we'll just put Southern Miss as a possibility. Arizona, Iowa State. Both teams are 8 teams. Iowa State 7-49. Western Kentucky, Missouri State. Western Kentucky an over team with all their with their quarterback. Missouri State's a W. They haven't shown anything. App State an under team. Boise an over. Boise 17-60. Boise, 28 defense, App State. So this is a game you'd think Boise, they're playing an under team, and they're starting to score now. Stanford, San Jose State, they're both W teams. Stanford is they're both W. Stanford is 3-49. Mass against Missouri. There's Mass, the Z team. 39 defense. Missouri, the A team, with the 16 defense. Mass gets 185 yards a game. Missouri, 539. I'm very tempted on this to take Missouri, but it's 44. Kind of hard, but I think it gets to Missouri will be 40-0 at halftime. I mean, the problem, as I said, it's the fourth quarter is the subs. Are they going to score for you or not? Colorado State, Washington State. Colorado State, an under team. Washington State, a W. Not a lot of scoring here. Colorado State, 4.5-50. This might be an under. Oregon, Penn State, they're both A teams. Penn State, 3.5-52. Alabama, Georgia, we discussed. Alabama, kind of an A team. And Georgia's more of an over, but I'm only taking the Tennessee game. They did give up a lot of points. Georgia 3-53. It's a hard game to bet. I mean, maybe you take Alabama. You like them as a dog. Georgia at home. Totals, I don't know. This looks like it'll probably be more points, more of an over than an under. Kentucky, South Carolina under. 20 defense. Norris didn't look too good. Kentucky, an E team with a 23. South Carolina, 6-46. Let's see if Norris gets better. But against Kentucky, they have a good D. They played with Mississippi pretty tough. Marshall, Lou Lafayette. Lou Lafayette, a W. Marshall, an E. Lou Laf is 1-46. LTAC, a B team. UTEP, an E. LTAC is -448 at UTEP. And our last game, BYU, an A team with a tremendous defense, a 5 defense, goes against primer, an E team with a 22 defense. So the total, BYU, it's at Colorado. BYU is 6-47. And that's what we have. And now our next thing is to look at the injuries and then to look at finding the Z teams. Let's find the Z teams real quick. Oregon State, Friday night against Houston. We've got Central Michigan, a W. We got Arkansas State, Lou Monroe playing each other. Lou Monroe's the Z team. Akron's a W. West Virginia's a W. UCLA's a Z against Northwestern. Oklahoma State's a Z to Baylor. Middle Tennessee's a Z to Kennesaw State's, who's a W. Virginia Tech's a W. Jacksonville State's a W, playing Southern Miss. Missouri State's a W, playing Western Kentucky, who's pretty explosive. San Jose State and Stanford are both W's. UMass is Z to Missouri. Washington State's a W to Colorado State. Lou Lafayette's a W to Marshall. So, for example, Baylor off of a loss, lane 20 to Oklahoma State, who's got trouble. Baylor can score. Let's do this as the free one. I got Baylor laying 20. Let's go Baylor free pick. We'll check injury tomorrow. We'll make them free pick tomorrow. But that's the idea. Off of a loss, playing a Z team, and you're laying 20 with an explosive quarterback, and Oak State gives up 31 a game, so Baylor should light them up 291. That's an idea of what you want to bet. A team off of a loss playing a Z team. It's perfect. Toledo's like that. What else? Florida State, Virginia, you got to be careful of Friday, as Florida State is, very strong defensively. Virginia's strong offensively. Usually it goes to the defense. And, so those are the type of, you're looking Toledo off of a loss, Utah off of a loss. You're going to get either Ohio State, Washington off of a loss, Penn State, Oregon off of a loss next week, Georgia, Alabama off of a loss next week. So that's really what you're looking at, is you want a motivated team versus a team, like, is Indiana going to be motivated? Illinois is going to be pretty motivated, much more motivated than SC, who's going, fuck, it's 9 o'clock in the morning. And even though Illinois, it's 11 o'clock in the morning, it's still at home. And after being embarrassed, it wouldn't surprise me if Illinois won the game. But it's just such a bad, this noon time. What are they, nuts? So again, that's where you're looking for the team that's pissed off they lost, they're motivated. That's really what you're looking at. And we will see. So that's college football. Pros, I haven't updated the stats yet because of the Monday night game. I can't do it till today. I'll do it this afternoon. I have a 12:30 phone call with the who's who. I made the who's who list. I'm so happy. It's Marquez who's who. It's a big deal, I guess. I never heard of them, but they'll brand me and everything else. So, like Teaserking and Austrian economics and my master's and all that. So they'll brand me, put me in some things, and hopefully we get more. We can start making money with the gold expertise I have. I don't charge you guys, but I'd like to start charging somebody for the expertise, as everybody goes broke and they need gold and they just don't understand it. All right, so let's run through. We can do pro lines. That's quick. All right, we start Thursday night. Seattle's now favored. Arizona was favored 1.5. Now Seattle 1.5, total 43. My line, Arizona -3. They're at home on a Thursday. It's hard to play this Thursday game on the road like that. Minnesota, 2.5, 41.5 to Pittsburgh in Ireland Sunday morning. We've got Philly 3 and 44 at Tampa Bay. Now we're Sunday afternoon. We got Buffalo 16.5, 48.5 to New Orleans. I don't know why the over is going up. Now Buffalo should kill them, but how much are they going to try? They'll get a lead and they'll just sit and they're going to run and they just want to win the game by 3 points. They don't care about 16. New Orleans, I don't know. Spencer Rattler, what is he doing in the NFL? New England is 5.5, 43.5. This makes no sense. Carolina beat Atlanta 40-0. Got some pick sixes. Not that Steve Young looked any good. A lot of when you start getting pick sixes and that, I think he ran in one touchdown. The whole league's a joke now. It's these quarterbacks like Drake May, and they can't throw, so they run in, and the defense doesn't blitz them. They get around the edge and they score. It's such bullshit. Him and Daniel Jones and Drake May. I don't know. How's Carolina? I don't know. This should be Carolina 11.5, but New England can't be favored. They're a weak favorite here. Washington 2.5, 45.5. Do we have Penix against Daniels or not? Why did Penix leave the game? Did he get benched? Or I saw he tripped a guy on one of his interceptions, and I think he kicked him, and he might have hurt his foot. So we got to check injuries there. Otherwise, it's Penix and Daniels, and it's a good game. Detroit 8.5. Yeah, 8.5. I got it in at 7.5 yesterday after I saw the game. That's what's posted. Is 7.5 and 45. I don't know. Again, you're caught with Detroit beating Baltimore. They're usually a good home team, especially against Cleveland with not much offense, pretty good defense. We'll see how good Detroit is. Again, they're going to be overplayed because of the way they played Baltimore. But remember the Green Bay game. Cleveland, all right, they got their miracle last week. I can't imagine they're going to get it this week. Let's see. All right. Houston 739.5 to Tennessee. Houston is 0-3. They had to win last week and they didn't, so I don't know if they're any good. They've got a good defense. CJ Stroud's terrible. Tennessee, Cam Ward should have a bad day. Houston should win this game. I mean, if they can't beat Tennessee at home after 0-3, they're not going to win a game. San Diego 643.5 at the Giants. They're rolling. It's a 1:00 game, so this is a 10 in the morning game for San Diego, which sucks. Why don't they play this at 4? It's such ridiculous. 4:00. We got the Niners 347.5 to Jacksonville. I mean, Jacksonville is not that good. The Niners are terrible right now. I mean, they're barely beating Arizona. I don't know. The Rams 3.5, 49.5 to Indy. Indy's been, I don't know, it's handing the ball to Jonathan Taylor. You would think in the NFL, the defensive coordinators would say, let's take Jonathan Taylor away. Make Daniel Jones, who sucks, beat us. So how does Taylor keep getting all these yards? Aren't they keying on him? Aren't they putting pressure? Are these defenses so stupid? Probably they are, most of them. The Rams, I don't think are going to be that stupid. 3.5, 49. The Bears, all of a sudden the Bears are favored. 1.5, 47.5 at Oakland. I mean, you got to like Oakland in this game. Getting 7.5 to the Bears. Talk about a weak favorite. Again, CeeDee Lamb got hurt. Maybe it mattered, maybe it didn't. Dak Prescott, why didn't he run it? It was 6 minutes left there at the 1-yard line. Just do the play action pad. Just fake it and run around the end and you score. Why didn't he do that? I don't. Children's play here. Baltimore, 2.5, 48.5. What do you do with this game after the way they looked against the Lions? KC has to win. They're 1-2. They still have to win. Baltimore, talk about demoralized. You just lost to the Lions. You got killed by them. You got sacked 7 times. KC's going to be all over Lamar. This is the problem. When you start, the Lions are spying Lamar, and they basically didn't let him go anywhere. He couldn't run. He couldn't throw, and he looked like shit. Your league MVP. Yeah, my ass. KC, we got him as a home dog again. It's pretty automatic. Green Bay 747 to Dallas. Green Bay, how they blew that game. They get Dallas. Dallas looked like shit last week to the Bears. Again, they're at home. They're a home dog. Green Bay road favorite. So we got to check that out. Miami, 2.5, 44.5 over the Jets. I don't know how Miami can be favored over anybody. They are terrible. And our last game, Denver, 7, 44.5. This line seems low. I mean, Denver is going to kill them. We're going to trust what? Cincinnati's Browning? All right. You got Joe Burrow. I'm taking Joe Burrow in 13 against anybody. But Browning, so maybe the line would have been Denver 3 against Burrow. It's only 7 here. Denver off of this loss to San Diego, much better team, better defense, better quarterback, better coach. What is Zach Taylor doing at Cincinnati? He's not a good coach. I really don't get why he's still there. They still need a defense, even though Hutchinson's playing. They're not, Now they didn't give up 48 to Minnesota. That a lot of it was the offense turning the ball over, and the guy going down. The guy returned 2 for touchdowns. The defensive back. So it's not like their defense gave up 40 points. Anyway, so teams off of a loss. Arizona, somebody's got to be off of a loss. New England, Washington is off of a loss. So is Atlanta. Detroit now got the win. Cleveland actually won. Houston's off 3 losses. So Houston's our bitch this week after losing 3. San Diego, they beat Denver. The Niners won. Jacksonville won. Indy won. I don't know what I'm looking at. The Rams. All right, the Rams are heartbroken. They had the field goal to win the game. I don't know what's going on that these guys can't defend field goal kicks. What is going on there? Look for the Rams to be pissed. Indy, good luck going to the Rams and beating them. You're not that good, Indy. The Bears won. Oakland off of a loss. Baltimore off of a loss. Kansas City finally won. But Baltimore's been exposed. That team's doing that. Henry, another fumble. Lamar can't throw. Can't find a way to throw. Can't read a blitz still. Thinks he can just run and he can go. And every time he did, the Lions got him last night. So I don't know. Green Bay off of a loss. They got really fucked kicking the winning field goal there. Miami and the Jets, they both suck. And then Denver off of a loss to San Diego. So there looks like there's food for us, but we will see. Anyway, I can't even really check our gold. It's crazy. I mean, again, it's 12.16. Well, maybe it's working, but the chart isn't. But see, my silver's 44.40 has been 44.40 since 11 o'clock. So let's assume they're close, 44.40, 37.86. Let's try to go back and see. Yeah, let's see. The gold futures are 38.11. So let's assume our gold spot is somewhere in that neighborhood. Let's see if we can. Gold spot says 37. Well, let's look at AMP Max. 37.91 gold, silver 44.53. So we'll go with that. So we're almost 3,800 in gold. And the way I look at it, is here's how you value your gold. You got 100 ounces. It just went from 3,500 to 3,600. You just made 10 grand. 36 to 37, you made another 10 grand. You made 20 grand. 3,700 to 3,800, you made another 10 grand. So you just made 30 grand in about 2 weeks. But you won't notice it because you pull out your gold coin. You pull the gold coin out and you go, oh, I got an ounce. I still have an ounce of gold. But what you're not recognizing is the value, because here you think this is worth $5, €5 because it has a 5 on it. Well, the gold doesn't have that. So you got to go by what the value of the gold is. And that's really the key to it. So Bobby asked if I do a spreadsheet. Yeah, that's why I do it. So now I put in 3,800 and now my value's gone up another 10 grand. So I'm not working, but I am working, I guess. So as gold and then silver, I know like Luke's got a couple boxes of it. So when silver runs to 50, let's say he's got, I think it's 500 ounces a box. And let's say he's got 2,000 ounces. Well, if it goes from 40 to 50, that's 10 times 2,000. He just made $200,000 in his silver without doing anything, just having it there. So again, my guy will not do a 1099 on you if you need to sell. He's 97% on the Eagle, 95% on the Cougaran or the Maple Leaf or the Philharmonic. So basically, gold at 5,000 times 3% was, I think, $150. And the 95% would be $250. And we're buying Cougarans a lot cheaper than Eagles. So it's pretty close. As I say, once the shit really hits the fan, he probably will just need gold to sell. So he might not have 97 and 95. It could just go to even, or I'll pay you a spot plus 1 or 2% because I need it to sell because people are obviously buying it. So we'll see. But the no 1099 is fruit right there. So that's the good news. So we will see. Anyway, not looking to sell it anytime soon. It's not a stock. It's not, we bought low and we sell high. It's not like we're going to profit take. You don't do that in gold. You just watch it. Your thought is, if I sell my gold, I'm back in dollars and this is worthless. So why would I sell something worth a lot in gold for dollars? So that's why you're not profit taking or selling. Until we have gold-backed currency, or we can get the BRICS and buy Russian rubles, which maybe I can. Until this happens, you don't want to sell gold to get back into the dollar. As I use the Titanic, why would I get into the lifeboat only to get out of the lifeboat for profit, but get on this ship that's sinking? So that's why you're not interested in doing that. There's no interest to get into the sinking ship. So that's the point. That's what you're looking for, is to get into that. So that's where we're at. I got a 12:30 and I want to eat something. So that's what's happening. Football, again, this is a weird week. I don't know. I can't explain it. It's the same picks I do the first 2 or 3 weeks. It's the same picks I do every week. Most of the time they win because of my logic. We're going against the Z team. We're going off of a loss. We're looking for motivated teams. We're looking, hey, we'll play the dog in the Alabama-Georgia game or whatever. We're looking for reasons to bet it. Like Ohio State, Texas, 2 good defenses. We bet under. It was 14-7. Sometimes you get a little bit where you're thinking this team's going to win and they don't. Michigan, Nebraska should have been an under. It was with Ohio State, Texas. Same parameters, but it didn't go under. You had a lot of fluky touchdown runs and a Hail Mary, and we lost by 2 points. And then you got the pros, Green Bay, blocked field goal. The Tampa blocked field goal, but they did win it. The Rams blocked field goal for a time. I mean, it was insanity, the blocked field goals. So again, that's very unusual, and yet they all happened as if, was that part of the fix? Hey, well, I don't know how we're going to do. Oh, well, have them block a field goal. Then they can run it back for a touchdown, and it'll cover the over, the under, or Cleveland can beat Green Bay with that. I mean, how do you lose a 10-0 lead with Micah Parsons? Are you kidding me? That's bullshit. So anyway, that's where we're at. It's www.teaserking.com. I already posted a lock. I'm kind of before the line moves too much. And hopefully it's better than, well, last week's lock was okay. I had 2 locks. I won one and I lost one. So I was, that's fine. I'm glad I lost both. I lost Dallas and Green Bay, but I won Tampa and Houston. And again, Houston is, haven't won yet with the great defense. They need a coach. They need a quarterback. CJ Stroud's not a quarterback. So that's what's happening. Keep our eye on gold and silver. It apparently is 3,800 or close to it. Silver 44.50. They are gone. COMEX is gone. The reason you haven't seen the price go up is COMEX does options to keep the price down, not for any other reason. It is not priced physically like a Mantle card. That's why gold hasn't jumped yet. It's jumping now because they need physical to cover these option contracts, and they don't have it, so they are buying it. And that's why you see the prices jump. Buy as much silver and gold as you can. Silver is money. It says $1 on it. Gold is the gold standard, but silver is also money. And just ignore all this. Well, they need it for the Tomahawk rockets, and they need it for the solar panels, and they need it for the electric cars. Fuck that. It's money. When this is worth nothing, you want to own gold and silver. All right, everybody, www.teaserking.com. I will see you tomorrow later if something important happens. And anyway, so that was a pretty thorough look at football. I'll do my pro football. College is so massive that we really need to spend the hour on college and try to figure out, like, we have no idea. Penn State, Oregon, I have no idea who either team is right now. Ohio State, Washington, I have somewhat of an idea. As you saw, Utah played Texas Tech. I got a whole big idea on Texas Tech last week. Like, this team's for real. All right, everybody, have a good day. I will talk to you later or tomorrow. All right, take care, everybody.